In this video, I wanted to talk about the process of God and how it basically builds you up as a human being, the character behind it all. Right? God is building a character. He's building your heart up, right? He does it through seasons, right? The season that you're in right now, you may be praying your way out of it, but you're in there to get molded and sculpted and shaped by the potter, right? He's a sculptor. And I was just reflecting right now. This morning, the house was a mess. My house was a mess this morning. It was the kids' toys all over the living room. The dishes were piled up, clothes all over the floor. And me and my wife looked at each other. We said, "This is not okay. This is not good." Right? As a matter of fact, last night before I went to sleep, I looked around and I said to God, I said, "I'm sorry if the house looks the way it does. I'm gonna clean it tomorrow." Right? We're gonna clean it tomorrow, me and my wife. And do you think that I was born that way? Do you think that, like, I am the way I am now because I was born like this? The fact is that I used to be a very messy human being back in the day. And when I say messy, it was a junkyard. Before I was saved, oh man, my room was a junkyard, literally. And I'll spare you the grotesque details, but it was a junkyard. And I'll leave it at that. My room was, and because I didn't have this reason in my mind of any standard or any foundation to stand on to live life from this direction going forward. I didn't have that. Everything was a free-for-all. Wake up when you want, go to sleep when you want, watch what you want, listen to what you want, do what you want. And my life, as a result, was obviously full of sin and run by demons. All right? So the process before I got saved to where I'm at now, I wanted to give you guys some insight on what God has done. So, like, let's move forward from when I met my girl. God will use people, and he'll even use animals to comfort you, and to, God will give you what you need. Before I met my girl, I was extremely depressed, and God gave me a dog, right? It was a dog given to me by a lady that was looking for somebody to adopt this dog, because the dog was going to go to the pound and be, given the shot, because nobody wanted this dog. This dog was equally as broken as me. I named the dog Ghost because the dog was all white. And funny enough, my nickname, my tag back in the day before I was born again, was Ghost, because I felt like I was existing but I wasn't living. I felt like I was dead, and I was just moving around, but I was dead on the inside. That's how I felt all the time. So I would sleep a lot. I would just sleep. And when I would wake up, I would be like, it's almost like I wanted to die. So I gave myself the name Ghost. And so then when I was in my worst misery, that dog came into my life, and that was God's way of helping me out in that torment situation. Now, why was I miserable? It was because of my lifestyle. The way I was conducting myself as a free-for-all, it tickles the ears, but in reality it doesn't fit. It actually makes you very miserable, depressed, chaos, disorganization. The ability to not do what you're required to do, there will always be a consequence for it. When you don't go to your work on time, or when you're absent too many times, there's a consequence for it. So that's why feelings are irrelevant in certain circumstances. Not in all circumstances. Because you want to have feelings if you see somebody that is down and out, right? Like somebody that you can help. Feelings play a role there to help you to feel compassionate. But in other circumstances, feelings get in the way, and we have to we have to be the one in control and kind of say, it's time to get up. I don't care that I'm still sleepy. I'm waking up. And you push your feelings aside and you do what's necessary for you to go on with the right decision making of that day. And when you make the right decisions, that's fruit. When you make the wrong decisions, you're bearing fruit also. But that's the wrong fruit. And that fruit is like the fruit of the garden of Adam and Eve. And when they bit into it, it was poisonous to their soul. It wasn't good. So when we make the wrong decisions in life, it does something to your internal that everybody can identify with, right? And what happens after eating that fruit a long time, you grow a tolerance for it, you grow accustomed to it, but you know that when you look at other people, they got color in their face, they look like they got it going on, they look happy, their decision making is where you want to be. When you look at them, you say, I want what that person has, or yeah, I want not just possessions in terms of materialism, but what they own on the inside. They look like where I want to be. And so I wanted to give you the keys, the nuggets, the fruit, that it's not complicated. It really is about decisions in the end of the day. It's about fruit, and it's about what type of fruit you're bearing. Yesterday I made what I consider to be a fantastic video, because it really was a video about what most of this life is all about, which has to do with fighting. You have to fight to keep on track with God, because the natural current of this world wants to separate you from God. You have to fight to stay connected to the Lord. You have to fight. And how do you fight? You crucify the flesh. You crucify these feelings that don't want to do it, right? What's going to start to happen is you're making exchanges. You're making transactions from heaven to you. And what happens is that these transactions actually produce joy and peace and all of this other stuff that the world doesn't have, right? So they're making transactions too. And in the world's transactions, they're on the wrong side, whether they acknowledge it or not. To live for the devil is to be lawless. They may not even believe that the devil's real. They may say the devil's not real, but they are still the devil's children, according to Jesus, because of their lifestyle, because of what they believe to be right and wrong. They believe that living the wrong way is right, and they believe that living the right way is stupid. And so because of that, their heart, their affections are set on, Satan has a Bible. Did you know that? And I've never read it, nor do I want to read it, but I am curious as to what it says, because you always want to know what your enemy is for. Because whatever he is for, you can place yourself in a position to be against. And so it's like the more you know about what he wants you to do, the more you can be against what he wants and position yourself on the opposite, But one of the rules that Satan has in his Bible is live as you want. That's one of his rules, one of his 10 commandments, if you will. And, live as thou want, right? And think about that for a second. Think about that, right? The devil's for live however you want, because it plays to his strength that you do that to yourself. The devil is not your friend. He's not your buddy, right? Some of you, unfortunately, and I say this with a lot of grief in my heart, some of you, unfortunately, will go to hell. Unfortunately, I say that many times over. Unfortunately, some of you, the devil will take you and you will find out that he was never your friend, that he played you the whole time, that he made pleasure and fun and entertainment the it factor of this life, and it was never about that. That was a secondary cherry on top, but that wasn't about that. That wasn't the cake. The cake was to know God, to love God, and to be with God. Then God adds the toppings on the cake, like what you want, etc., your desires of your heart, etc. When people make fun and entertainment and pleasure the source of why they're alive, they will always find themselves in depression, because it will never fulfill their void on the inside. They're created for far more than just that. And although it sounds good, it sounds delicious to the ears in terms of do whatever you want, often the things that are hard and difficult and complicated, but you work it out, are the things that produce treasure and perseverance and patience and victory. You come out of that situation that it was hard, say like something like boot camp in the army. It's hard, but it produces a soldier, a warrior, right? But is it easy? No. And the devil always chooses what's easy and what's fast and what's quick. He's fast food. But is fast food for you? Is fast food good for you? No. Fast food is really bad for you. But that's the devil. God is more the type of chef to give you what's nutritious for you. Now, some of you might say, but I don't like that. And God will respond back, but it's good for you. And you'll live a long life. And you will be vibrant. And you will be full of energy. But there's other food. It may taste good, but it kills you, right? You live a much shorter lifespan. And down the road, you're going to be suffering a heck of a lot because of this food. Food is like decisions. Decisions and actions and fruit are like food. With every decision that you make in this earth, it's like you're eating, or you're enduring, you're living out the situations and circumstances that your decisions make for you. And so some people make it where the decorations all around them are more important than the inside, right? They dress up the outside. They dress up the outside more. They're more concerned with what it looks like on the outside. This is the devil. The devil cares more about show, and God cares more about the inside. For everything that God is for, you will find a contrast about the devil, that he is for the opposite. The devil is about pride. God is about humility. So a humble humility type of person, it's not about show. They're about doing the right thing with integrity behind the scenes, that they're not even seen. But they don't gossip, they don't slander, they don't get on a megaphone and say, look at me, I just did this, right? But the devil, anything he does, he wants to get on a giant megaphone, tell everybody what he just did, because he doesn't have any substance on the inside, any real substance that matters or is valuable. So he has to bank on the fact that he can deceive you with the show, because on the inside where it counts, the devil doesn't have anything that's valuable. In other words, the show, he's selling you on the show, but there's nothing more than just the show. So once you come to the show, and if you fall for it, right, he'll just keep you leading you on with more lies and lies. Like there's more. Remember when he used to tell me that there's so much more that you haven't experienced, and this and that. Many of you have experienced everything that the devil has to offer. There is nothing more than what you've already done. You've been around the mountain many, many times over. You've seen the scenery. The faces change, but the game is the same. And you're tired and you're weary. And the devil continues on to telling you, there's more. You haven't experienced everything. There's so much more. And the fact of the matter is that it's all a show. It's a display. A lot of lights, a lot of noise with music and bass and this and that, stroke lights. But there's nothing of substance nothing that's gonna captivate you and bring you in and really do it for you where it counts. That's all that there is. And if you're a newbie, then that's exciting for you. But when you do that for a few years, it's like, okay, I got the picture. I understand. I got it. I want to see something different. And that's when he says, there's more, there's more. 10 years down the line, there's more, there's more. More never comes because there is no more. And so some people say, the heck with this. I'm changing my life. I'm going to get myself a wife. I want to have kids and settle down. And that's when they say, there is no more to this whole thing. I want out. And then that's where the fight begins. The fight begins when people have predetermined in their heart that they're tired. Right? They're tired of sleeping around. Oh, but I thought sleeping around was so much fun. I'm tired of it. I want somebody to love me for me. I want to settle down. I want to wake up with the same person every day. I don't want to wake up with a different person. Right? Although it sounds delicious to the ears to have all the sex that you want, it just in the internal where it counts. You live on the internal of your body. You have to live with your conscience. You have to live with your heart. You have to live with how you feel. You have to live with the decisions you make and how it is catastrophic, some of the decisions to your surroundings. Sometimes it takes you to jail. But if it doesn't take you to jail, it can still destroy you on the inside because God has commanded this earth to run a certain type of way. We don't get away with nothing. Nothing. When you think you got away with it, all you did was hurt yourself. Because good is good and bad is bad. And bad is not going to be converted into good. That's the devil's lie. And so what that means is that if it's good and you're doing good, then you're going to feel good. It's not complicated. If you do bad, you're going to feel bad afterwards. It's not complicated. So to end this video, I just wanted to make it be known that the people that fight for a new life, they do get it. And you hear their stories. You say, man, I used to be a gangster. I used to be I did 10, 15 years in prison, man, but I don't do that stuff no more. And then what are they as human beings? They're counselors. They tell you stories. Hey, man, it's not worth it. Hey, man, listen to those people, man. They suffered so that you wouldn't have to suffer. They went through hell, and they're trying to tell you, hey, man, I'm trying to help you out. I'm throwing you a line here. Grab onto the line. Trust me when I tell you, bro, that there's nothing over there. And that's the, that's the part where people have to say, you know what, I'm gonna pay attention. Because the devil would want you to think, oh, that was you. I'm smarter than you. Right? Like, you made dumb decisions, but I wouldn't do that. Like I'm different than you, right? So that my decisions are going to leave me on a higher ground than you. You went to jail. I'm more slick than you. I'm not going to go to jail. And that's the devil's pride, right? And he doesn't have anything new. So whatever he's doing with you, he did it with me. He did it with the person across the street. And so it's like, take the people's testimony, take their advice and say, you know what, man? I don't need to go and test fire to know that it's hot. I don't need to test torment to know that it sucks. I'm just gonna take your word for it, bro. And but I got to work right now. I got more to say, but we'll end it there. I just want you to understand that your decisions, right, they cultivate what you're gonna live in. Right decisions lead to a good wholesome life, right? If you make the right decision, it could even lead to healing, deliverance, right? Stick with Jesus Christ, right? I understand that it's faith walk. Oh, it doesn't look like anything's happening. I'm praying, but I'm not seeing. And it's a faith walk. Stick with him. Many times in my past have I been in a situation where, it didn't seem like anything was happening, but God was working behind the scenes. And it was only later on that I saw that he was doing a whole lot. And then I saw everything come to, he pulled the veil back, and I saw a bunch of good things start to happen to me because I stuck with it, stuck with him. I stuck with the program, so to speak. So, faith.